Okay.
So, first off, I want to say good morning to the Honorable Mayor and councilmen and councilwomen. And also want to give all the respects also to the audience that is here. A little bit about me, as I shared with Councilman, make sure I get it right, Councilman Tommy. This day and coming to y'all, I come to y'all, if I be honest, with some emotions. I'm gonna get into who I am and why I'm running for governor. But first off, I'm gonna take y'all back on a little story real quick. On June 8, 2021, right up the road at LaSalle, at the hospital, Jena's hospital, I was rushing from my job as a teacher in Opelousas. I came here after a call from my auntie who told me that my earth angel, Gloria Ellis, had basically transitioned from being my earth angel to now being my guardian angel. There were some sentimentals, like I say, I had to pass it again to get to y'all, but I want to say that I'm happy to be back to Jena. I'm happy to be back in a positive, knowing that she's watching over me and knowing that I have opportunity to tell y'all more about me. As I shared with the mayor, it was all of my intentions to be at every candidate forum, every LMA, but y'all know, as in politics, sometimes the media, sometimes the politician or whoever is hosting these events, when you're a small town guy like myself, running a grassroots campaign, you sometimes get left out of the way. But I hope on the eve of qualifying and y'all being the last place that I stopped before I qualify, that hopefully, as I said with the mayor, my name will circulate more. So I passed out a little flyer to the audience. I also passed out my push card, basically in the form of a flyer to y'all. But a little bit about me, it's Faraday. That is my hometown. I love it dearly. Home of Jerry Lee Lewis, Jimmy Swaggart, all of these guys I look up to, I am inspired by them. Back in 2012, I was on a journey to be Faraday High School's salutatorian. I became the salutatorian after a lot of overtime, stressful nights, staying up, mama having to kick me to bed, telling me at 2 a.m. you need to go to bed, staying up, and you gotta get on the bus at 6 a.m. I didn't care because I was after a goal. I was grinding. So after that, I looked at my life. I said, I worked at Faraday Market, went there, did that while juggling school, having to pay bills, and help my mom out in school. Tough. But after that, I looked at my life and said, if I stay in Faraday, chances are all you're gonna do is see me at the grocery store. Or, worst case scenario, I might become a product of teen pregnancy or something like that and catch my dream. So what I said was, at that time in high school, I wasn't gonna let the hard work that I had put in as a teacher, and not as a teacher, but as a student at the time, go to waste. So I chose to go to Louisiana Christian University, as y'all can probably see on the flyer. From there, I majored in the subject that I love. In high school, I loved history. Now in college, I'm gonna tell y'all, I hated it. I did not like writing papers. I did not like the whole thing of that. I can take some information, as some of y'all know, I see an attorney, I can take some information, boom, I'm good. I can get all that, but it was hard for me. I almost quit college, but I had a friend who encouraged me to stay with college. But I'll say this, my college experience was more about the people I met. And from there, I started taking political science classes in college. You might say, well, what's your experience as a politician? What's your experience as a newcomer on the scene? Political science classes were my best. Those were the best classes where I shined. Those were the ones I cared about. I probably should have been a public administration major. I probably should have been a lawyer, something of that nature. But what I would tell y'all is, I'm a believer of God. We all have a journey. So when I went to, after I graduated, I thought I was going to end back up in Faraday. I thought I was going to end back up at the grocery store. Because as I come from there, I don't see many options. But luckily, like I said, the friend that I had in college, other people I met, they told me to go up the road. If y'all familiar with Opelousas, I went there and I became an educator. For the last 6 years, that's what I've done. Getting into some of the issues that our state has and why I'm running for governor. It is my goal to present to y'all the ideal that teachers truly deserve to be compensated and they do deserve pay raises. So running for governor, I'm putting that in real time for all the voters and for everybody to see that, hey, teachers, they are some of the brightest minds we have. And they're the ones, if you look at the lawyers, the doctors, the professional athletes, the mayors, y'all can probably all in here attest to it. The people that are working at the gas station, the gas superintendent, y'all can probably attest to the fact that you wouldn't be where you're at if it wasn't for a teacher, somewhere down the line. So teachers do deserve to be paid. That's one of the key issues of why I'm running. Now, another thing, as I pass on the flyer to the audience and to y'all, Honorable Mayor and Council, another thing that's running under the radar about this race is a lot of our candidates, and if y'all went to the LMA, a lot of y'all saw these candidates. I saw there was one that a news reporter reported about, Richard Nelson, a new face of politics. He's been a state rep. He's 37. I'm 29. But what I would say to that is, we need inspiration. We need our kids to be inspired. And we need them to want to stay in this state and be a change agent for this state. Not go over to Texas, come back in 20-something years and say, hey, now I want to contribute to Louisiana. So when you see me up here speaking to y'all, it is my goal to stay in this state and not take my talents across to Texas, Georgia, or that sort of thing. Whether it's governor, mayor, whether it's whatever the Lord has for me on this path and journey that I'm on, because I can tell you, it's been a lot of sacrifices that I've had to make this even possible coming, as y'all can imagine, from a small town of Fairhaven. I see the former mayor of Vidalia also in the crowd. That's the challenge. So when I talk about who I am, know that I'm a worker. I'm not getting here to say, hey, I'm gonna sit back behind the desk and just let everybody know. I want to work with the different departments. I want to build a team. You might say, well, ain't you you're pretty young. I've got that, you look like you're 10, you look like you're 15, you look like you're 20, or 29. When you look at biblical time, when you look at the Americans' journey and some of our greatest world leaders, what I would tell y'all is, when the elders have went on, you have to have a pipeline in place for the young leaders to step into those roles. Now, if we look at our history, biblically speaking, they was 10, 12 when he was anointed by God and said, hey, I got something for you to do. By 25, he was the king of that. So when you look at Josiah, 7, when you look at these people in the Bible, they were not old when they became leaders. Prophet Eli, all of these different people. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., they were 25 when he became a pastor of the church, and then they said, hey, we're going to make you the civil rights leader. So when you look at these different people, when you look at Ronald Reagan, when you look at all of our leaders, our great leaders of this great country and great state, they were young when they started out. So I would say to y'all and to people that have questioned me about my youthfulness and my educational experience and different things, you have to give me the opportunity before I can say, hey, is he good or not for the governor's race? Because if you give me an opportunity, just like the coach who, before he became an experienced coach, somebody had to give him an opportunity to be a football coach or a basketball coach. So I'm saying to y'all today, and as I come to Jena back and paying my respects to y'all, just give me an opportunity. See what I got, see what it is, hey, if he's qualified to do it, and I know I'm probably going to say, no, you're not qualified, you haven't been a councilman, you haven't been a state rep, you haven't been this, that. But what I would say to y'all, and as y'all know, y'all are believers, God doesn't call the qualified. He calls the qualified. He qualifies you. He qualifies all of us. For the people that are sitting before me, all the councilmen, the honorable mayor, God qualified them to be in the position. Y'all that are in the audience and doing amazing things. Mr. June told me playing football fair back in the day, doing different things, and y'all still affecting this community. God qualified you. So if I'm on this journey, know that it wasn't Xavier Ellis that came up and said, hey, I want to be governor. God had to put those things on my heart and say, hey, it's time for you to step out, be a leader, and do those different things. So I'm going to close with that and just say I thank y'all for the opportunity to speak to you, get to know me. I hope y'all will see more of me in the news and different things and just trying to be a change agent. And I'll leave the floor for questions. Thank you.
How do you feel about our First and Second Amendment rights?
I feel like they definitely need to be protected. As my dad, I'm going to start with the Second Amendment, that's okay, Councilman Francis. My dad was a hunter. So, as y'all can see on the flyer, my dad, probably one of the best in the game when it came to that, and also one of the best foremen. He was taken out at 42 for a heart attack. So, when I talk about death and different things, I want to stick on what you're saying, Mr. Francis. I'm going to protect that. I'm not a hunter, but I know the importance of having guns to protect your family and those sort of things, and also for recreational purposes. That is the backbone of our state. Hunting is the backbone, fishing, all those things. I'm going to protect that. When it comes to our First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, the right to practice religion as you please, that is being encroached upon. And I think that's what Mr. Francis is getting at. I am of the belief that, and I'm going to go ahead and put this out there, Mr. Francis, I know you didn't ask for that, but you can imagine the attacks that I'm receiving, and probably why I'm having a low profile, running as a Republican under that sense. But I'm not, and I'll tell y'all this, I'm not Republican in the sense of the party today, in the sense of it, but when that point that you just brought up about protecting your First Amendment, those sort of things, right now in this country, I feel they do the best job of still trying to protect the believers and those that believe in God. So when you talk about that as a governor, I'm going to continue to fight for those things, Mr. Francis. I said that's the key component. That's really all we really have is those two things. And aside from the other things that we have in our Bill of Rights and that sort of thing in the Constitution, but you hit it on the nail with those two things, and that's something that, being my family ties, my ties to Louisiana, and then just my own conscience, I would say I want to continue to fight for those things.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
You ever ran for any other office prior to this one?
No, sir. I'm totally, Mr. Councilman Dunny, I'm totally running as on the breath of stepping out on faith. Pretty much my whole life, even as an educator, Mr. Dunny, it's been God kind of moving me along this path. I'm running as an educator. But that's not to say that, Mr. Dunny, and I'll say this, if I was on the LMA, I would have told the mayor and all of y'all that went to the LMA, what our state needs right now, I feel like, along with youthfulness and just, this getting rid of this old good boy system, I would say is we need a thinker in that position. We need somebody that's creative. We need somebody that's also got the eye and opposed to the people and what they're wanting. When you go to these different municipalities like Jena and different things, it is my goal, Mr. Dunny, and different people, even though I might be coming up as, when you hear Stephen Wasserspach and some of these other people, Richard Nelson, some of the other ones that I'm running against, they say they are outsider. Well, to the voters, I need you to think, they're not an outsider. They have what you said, the political experience, but what I'm looking at is saying, let me come alongside y'all, because take a place like Opelousas, Mr. Dunn, and y'all, I didn't say this in my speech, and I'm just addressing your point about the political experience. Although I don't have political experience, I'm a voter, and I'm a thinker. You look at Opelousas, and you look at a place like that. Right now, as I speak to y'all, they're building a Chick-fil-A. Now y'all might say, Mr. Ellis, or Xavier Ellis, whatever you want to call me, next governor of Louisiana, whatever you want to call me. That's a good thing, Xavier Ellis. But I would tell you, Mr. Tommy, and all of y'all that are in this audience today and the council, that's not necessarily a good thing, because when you got 5 chicken places already in the place, that's redundancy in city planning. What you should be looking at is saying, let me get with my constituents, let me get with my people of that town, of that city, and say, you know what is it that y'all want? Because to Mr. Francis' point, government is supposed to be working for the people and their needs, and even to the smallest level. But when you take a place like Opelousas, you talk to the kids, and they talk about crime and these issues of crime, I would tell you that it's not always just the woke system of these different people. It's a method of what are you giving the kids to do when they get out of school, when they get out of sports and different things. When we talk about infrastructure, are we talking about recreation infrastructure? Are we talking about just infrastructure, as y'all said, with the water and the pipe? We have to look at what are we transforming our state into, or what are we regressing to? And when you look at that, a place like Opelousas, I've talked with kids, I've talked with constituents and residents there. They would tell you, first thing, Mr. Dunny, we need something to do. We need a skating rink. We need different things. So when I'm going around to these different places like Jena and Faraday and other places, that is what I'm looking to talk to y'all as a councilman and the mayors about. What is it that your place needs? In Bastrop, I've been to Bastrop. They told me we need restaurants. We need places for fun. So when I'm in the governor's seat, those are the things that I'm looking to tackle. And even with the pay raise, as y'all know what a governor makes, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Xavier Ellis, the type of man I am coming from small town of Faraday, if I got to take my own money and do it, I know y'all say, hey, you ain't going to do that, but I will. Because I love this state, and I love wanting to be here, and I don't want to have to leave here just because of lack of opportunities, the young evacuee, the stuff that we see right now. So we talk about our brightest labor force, recreational infrastructure, teacher pay raises. Mr. Dunny, that is what I want to fight for. I want to fight for those things. And I feel like you can do that if you're an educator. You can do that as a probably better as a politician. I'm going to concede that point, Mr. Dunny. You can probably do it better, but I would say that, and looking at our whole landscape of Louisiana, and as I've traveled around the state, what I can tell you is there's nothing new under the sun. I'm not the first educator that has ran for public office and won. I'm not the first one that has lost. If you go to Monroe, you go to all these different places, Ruston, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, a lot of your greatest people that have really affected the community, they were at one point in time an educator. And then they transitioned into this political role. So I come before y'all saying that I've done my homework, I've done my research. Richard Nelson, Dr. Sean Wilson, Sharon Hewitt, make sure I don't leave nobody else, Stephen Westback, Jeff Landry. If it's the guys, well, they got a battle on their hands with Xavier Ellis. I'm gonna fight for a small town Faraday to represent, and also y'all as a neighboring area of Faraday, I'm gonna fight to represent the best of us. So they got a fight on their hands, so they better be ready. So, any other questions, audience? Y'all have any questions for me? Anybody else?
Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you, Mayor.
Don't let your age define you either.
Thank you.
You kind of want to make up excuses for you being so young. You're not too young. I'm the first elected female mayor for the town of Jena. And I remember when I asked my mom, well, I told my mom I was running, and I made the comment, there had never been a female mayor elected. And the one thing she said to me was, believe in yourself. So that's what I would tell you, believe in yourself. Your age is a number.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mayor. Definitely appreciate that a lot.
Besides that, the people that tell Mayor and I that we're too young, they're dead.
That's true.
Everybody told me that.
But thank you for joining us, we appreciate
Thank
you.
y'all. And if it's okay, if it's not too much, Mayor and honorable Mayor and Council, if it's okay after y'all are done, if I could get a picture with y'all,
Sure.
y'all know how that goes with
Sure.
trying to campaign. Thank y'all.
Sure.
Thank y'all.